Hello, Matt Wilson here. This is going to be my last video for February 2025. I'm doing it on John Lennon. I did my Beatles video some months ago, before Christmas anyway, and I've been thinking about how to do the solo Beatles. First, I was going to do all four solo Beatles just in the 70s because that would be a long show. Then I realized I don't have all those Ringo Starr albums, and I didn't feel like buying them just to do a show. So I might not do a Ringo show, but I'll do one for John and then another one for Paul, and finally a third for George. So this is going to be my first solo Beatles show. It's on John Lennon. I picked him because he has the shortest catalog of the three, but you'd be surprised how many times I have some of these albums. And true to Wilson form, I couldn't find a couple. I couldn't find the Wedding album, which is one of those avant-garde experimental albums that he made with Yoko in the '60s. Which don't waste your money on that. And I couldn't find the 1969 live piece in Toronto album, the live one he did in Canada with Eric Clapton. But I got it because if you saw my Eric Clapton video a while back, I showed it there. And in fact, I haven't talked about it for a minute or two. So anyways, I'm going to start in 1970 with Plastic Ono Band. Now, this is a classic John Lennon album from the great records of 1970. Every song is there's a glare again. This is another one of my nighttime videos, so you can see the no way I can show it without the phone showing. Anyways, you can see the songs. They're all great. This is one of the top 5 albums of 1970. This is his primal scream with Arthur Janov, or Janov, however you pronounce it, where he's yelling and he's getting all this angst out of his soul. And Mother, Hold On, I Found Out, Working Class Hero, Isolation, Remember Love, Well, Look at Me, God, My Mummy's Dead. They even give you a couple bonus tracks, Power to the People and Do the Oz, which was the flip side. This is the mobile fidelity version. Oh, look, no glare. Which means it is a Yoko-approved remix. All right? Keep that in mind, because I don't mind the remixes. They may even sound better from a technical standpoint, but I'm always going to be a purist with regard to these things. Get the original LP mix. If it was good enough for everybody in 1970, it's good enough for us now in the 21st century. Okay, so anyways, he could not have started off his solo career proper with a better album. And again, he'd made a couple of experimental albums with Yoko before this, but you don't need to get them. They don't even contain the songs, really. Okay, so Dead is Dead. Moving on to me, because I know how the critical consensus, if not the fan consensus, is that Plastic Ono Band is by far his best album. The equally good, another 5-star classic, Imagine. This is again one of the top albums of 1971, which just had a glut of great albums. Well, so 1970 really. He did this. He did both of these albums with Phil Spector. You know what? That reminds me. I did a Phil Spector video, and in December I showed you guys these albums then. But of course, these are all John songs, and they're brilliant. Imagine, Crippled Inside, Jealous Guy, It's So Hard, I Don't Want to Be a Soldier Mama, which is the one that has the full-on Spectre production. Give Me Some Truth, which Generation X covered. Oh My Love, How Do You Sleep, his diatribe against Paul. How, and Oh Yoko, which was used to good effect in one of those, what was it, Rushmore? One of those Wes Anderson films. You can see it's the Mo-Fi version, which means, yes, it is another Yoko-approved remix. Get it if you're a completist. But in 1972, there was the full-on Spectre production of Sometime in New York City. This is considered to be his worst album. You can see all the songs, are on there. in the form of a, newspaper, kind of like that same year's Thick as a Brick by Jethro Tull. Sister Oh Sisters, Angela, Woman is the N-word of the world, We're All Water. Luck of the Irish, John Sinclair, covered that guy when I did my MC5 video. New York City, one of the better cuts on the album. Attica State, Born at a Prison, Sunday, Bloody Sunday. I don't mind the album, folks. It's certainly not Phil's production, which kills it in the minds of many. It's John's songs. They just weren't quite up to par. He had just moved to America, and he was in his agitprop kind of, political phase. And, that's classic John speaking out, but the songs could have been better. All right, but I don't mind it. I don't mind the album at all. I would never say it's one of the top, 10 albums or anything of 1972, though, but there you go. Okay, here is the MoFi Mind Games. I think this is one where it's not entirely remixed, where maybe only part of it is, but I don't know. I still say I'll show you the remastered CDs later on in this video where it's just the original LP mixes. I'm just showing these to get them out of the way. I don't mind this album at all. The consensus seems to be online that Walls and Bridges is such a better album. I don't know. I think they're both good rather than great. If the first two Lennon albums, Plastic Ono Band and Imagine, are his best, and Sometime in New York City is his worst, then the next two, Mind Games and Walls and Bridges, would be in the middle. Now, even middle of the road, John is pretty damn good, But and then I'm gonna say that the songs that he did for the Double Fantasy project are among his best. That's my opinion. And then Rock and Roll, it's hard to even count that because it's, well, I'll get to it in a couple albums from now. Those aren't his songs. So I'm gonna say Mind Games, classic. Tight Ass is good. A Similar Son is good. One Day at a Time is a great song that Elton John covered. Just did my Elton John video. Bring On the Lucy is pretty good. Utopian, the international anthem, is nothing. It's not even a track. Intuition is great. Out of the Blue is great. Only People's pretty good. I know, is probably one of the more average songs. You Are Here and Meat City are just okay. So, he had been doing an album a year for quite some time by this point, and then contributing all those songs to the Beatles. So burnout was, expected to happen at some point. Okay, here is a regular remastered CD of Walls and Bridges. As far as I know, it's the original LP mix. This is the one that people think is better than Mind Games. Like I said, I'm not so sure. Both of them are good, decent Lennon, which even that's fine, Going Down on Love is great. Whatever Gets You Through the Night went to #1. Old Dirt Road is good. What You Got, Bless You is awesome. Scared is good. #9 Dream was a big hit. Surprise, Surprise, and then Steel and Glass. Yeah, it is pretty good. Oh, I'm not done. Beef Jerky, Nobody Loves You, and When You're Down and Out, and the 50s number. And then there's bonus cuts. I can't even read them. Anyways, so I'm going to say more or less on the same level as Mind Games, but I got to also tell you that most people think this is better as far as I can see. All right. Rock and Roll is another one. I think I covered this in the Full Spectrum video or not, but if not, I'll do it right now. So, in the opening lyrics of Here Come Old Flat Top, he come grooving up slowly from Come Together. He got that from the Chuck Berry number, You Can't Catch Me, I think it was. And so there was a lawsuit, and then John had to record, as the results of the lawsuit, some Chuck Berry numbers. Why he chose to expand that into a whole album of 50s covers, I don't know. But he did. He originally started this project with with Spector. Spector was going crazy by that point, 73 or so. Couldn't be worked with. You know, held up the tapes, pulling guns out in the studio. Typical Phil stuff, right? So Lennon, you know, finally got the tapes back, like sometime later. When this project died down, he started to do Walls and Bridges. When he returned to this after Walls and Bridges, you know, he just finished off the songs by himself, producing them himself. I've never thought too much of this album, but, you know, it's Lennon, so there are those who think it's really good. And that's my thoughts on it. I don't play this, but it's the last thing he did for 5 years. After this, he became the house husband. Here's the Mobile Fidelity version of Double Fantasy. Like I said, I think this is a classic album. I think this is one of the great albums of 1980. I like the Yoko songs. I'm not one of those guys who has an issue with Yoko Ono. Yeah, I know she screeches. I didn't even get into the live stuff with Zappa on sometime in New York City, but she's screeching there, and there's a video you can watch on YouTube of her live. Was it on the Mike Douglas show where they're playing with Chuck Berry and she starts screeching and you can see Chuck's face like, oh, what the hell is this? I'm aware of all that, but she's writing more or less pop songs on here, and they're good. And the John songs are great. Just Like Starting Over was a big hit. Clean Up Time is pretty good. I'm Losing You, they play that on the radio all the time. Beautiful Boy was a hit. Watching the Wheels was a hit. Woman was a hit. You know, Dear Yoko. I mean, I think this is a great album. All right, now, before I move on, well, you know what? Let me show you some of the surround sound discs. This is the big box set for Plastic Ono Band, one of his greatest ever albums, one of the greatest ever albums of any solo Beatle. It is, God, what is this? So, oh, this doesn't even say the CDs and the, oh, here it is. It's Blu-ray, 6 compact discs, 132 page book. It's, in terms of the surround sound mix, which is why I buy these boxes, folks, there's not that many instruments on the album. So it's not the best surround sound mix. They did the best that they could. But I played this whole thing, you know, and once you get through this box, if you didn't know this album that well, if you didn't know these songs that well, you'll know them when you get done with this box, because it just exhausts this material, but it exhausts in a good way. I mean, this is John really being John. He's honest, he's raw, he's letting it all hang out, and you know, it's doubtful he ever brought a better batch of songs for one LP. But I'll tell you, folks, to me, as good is the Imagine album, which I've already gone over. This is the surround sound. This was the first of the box sets. Then Plastic Ono Band came out. All right, so this one is also, let's see, well, there's 2 Blu-rays, 4 CDs, and it's the same thing, you know, as the Plastic Ono Band. But this sounds better because there's a lot more instruments. Like I said, it's a Spector production or a Spector co-production. It's another 5. If you just want the sound quality, the surround mix, this is better than Plastic Ono Band. Now, this is gonna be difficult. This box I've been leaning on the whole video is the Mind Games box. I'm gonna tilt this so you can see it. Yeah. I was not gonna take this out. This thing was such a beast. It was such a pain in the ass to take in and out that I decided I'm not gonna do that. It's got so much stuff in there. This is the big deluxe version. You know, there was a more normal size version of the Mind Games surround sound box, just like there was for Plastic Ono Band and Imagine. But you know me, I'm a sucker for these box sets, and I am the box set king. I can't do anything. I bought it. I don't recommend it. It was ridiculously overpriced. It is the heaviest box set I own, although I'm not sure if it's the biggest, because the George Harrison Gnome box set, you know, for the All Things Must Pass album, it could be even bigger. But I think All Things Must Pass is a 5-star classic. It might be my favorite solo Beatles album, period. Whereas Mind Games is merely a good album. But I bought it. I wanted to show you guys I had it, but I ain't taking it out. Okay, what are we doing here? For, all right, less than 15 minutes. This John Lennon what's this called? This came out like a long time ago. Anyways. Oh, anthology. This is just the John Lennon and anthology. So this is 5 discs, and it's all just different versions, you know, alternate takes or whatever of songs that are on his albums. If you're a Lennon completist like I am, get it. You know. I'll tell you what I don't have. I mean, not that I couldn't find it. I just don't have it. Look, now you can see both those boxes. Is the 1973 live album that he did. It came out after the fact. It didn't come out in 73, but I don't have that. So, Matt, how much of a completist can you be? But anyways, I did buy this, and well, here's something else I can show you. This is from, I want to say 1990. I never was happy with the, this is just a 4 CD box set covering his whole career. It does use the original mixes though. The sound quality is average, but at the time, his stuff wasn't remastered, so this is what I had, and this lasted me for the rest of the 20th century. This is what I would play when I wanted to hear Lennon. I think it's got all the Plastic Ono Band on here, if I remember. Does it have all of Imagine? I don't remember. I haven't played this box set in well over 20 years, but I have it. And the last thing I want to show you, to get it out under 20 minutes, is the remastered box of all of his albums. I say all of his albums, not the 2 he made with Yoko, and not the 1972 live album. Pulling it out here. All right. Lots of stuff. Okay. After the size of this box, these are the CDs. It's just the same discs that I've already shown you, although you do get all of Milk and Honey, which was like the companion piece, which came out in 1984 to the Devil Fantasy album. You know, another clutch of a racy picture, another clutch of Lennon material that he had, recorded at the time of the Devil Fantasy sessions and the Yoko songs. It's still not a bad album. It's no Devil Fantasy, but it's not bad. And then you also get, this is quite handy, this little this is the singles and home tapes. You know, so you get all the 45s, and you get stuff, you know, recorded at home, you know, kind of much like something like this, you know. So anyways, this box set is what I recommend if you just want to get his albums remastered. All right? Okay, I think that about covers it. Looking around. Yeah, so another short video. So, John, wrapping up my thoughts. Was John always my favorite my favorite solo Beatle? I don't know. I know, of course, when he died, he was everybody's favorite Beatle. Was he in the 70s when I was growing up? I probably liked him as much as Paul. And, you know, subsequent to the 1980s and his demise, I've returned to liking him and Paul about equally. You know, in terms of who was more talented, I don't know. They had similar strengths in that they were both, superb pop songwriters. With Lennon perhaps being a bit better, not a bit better as a lyricist. Paul perhaps had a better sense of melody. But that's not to say that when they were in the Beatles, Paul could not come up with a good lyric, because he could. And that's not to say that John couldn't write a great pop song, because he could. That's why I'm saying that they had similar strengths. If they continue with the surround sound series, and I have no reason to believe that they won't, I'll get Walls and Bridges. I don't know if I'll get Rock and Roll, but if they do something for the Double Fantasy and the Milk and Honey sessions, I'll buy that too. So anyways, John Lennon, wonderful solo artist, taken from us much too soon. It would have been interesting to see how he would have reacted to the events in America and globally, you know, post-1980, but unfortunately we'll never know. So adios, John, and adios, folks. Until next month.